Exposed, Black woman mechanic transforms doubt into 100K challenge, hidden talent roars to life. Jasmine stood at the entrance of her father's auto shop, the vibrant Detroit sun framing her in a golden halo. The smell of motor oil and burnt rubber wafted through the air, a familiar scent that both comforted and inspired her. Yet, the gritty reality loomed large. For years, she faced whispers and sideways glances, just because she was a woman. Men scoffed, doubting her skill, unprepared for the fire that bubbled inside her. But Jasmine knew this. She was meant to be here. The announcement of a 100K Automotive Innovation Challenge sent a tremor through the community center. She watched the excitement dance in the eyes of the neighborhood kids, their laughter a soundtrack she cherished. They believed in her, saw her potential, but the what-ifs of others echoed in her ears. Would she let both their dreams and her own slip away? "Stick to what you know, Jasmine," her mother insisted around their kitchen table, where family tradition reigned supreme. Her father's legacy weighed heavy on their shoulders, a mantle of hard work and pride. "It's safer. We can't risk everything." But Jasmine felt the calling of something bigger. This challenge was a chance not just to win money, but to carve out her identity in a world that often wanted her to shrink away. The truth gnawed at her. Each passing moment heightened her anxiety while igniting a fierce flame deep inside. As she shook hands with competitors at the garage, the pressure mounted. The snickers from those who thought her unfit only fueled her inner resolve. She couldn't just be her father's daughter. She had to embody her own vision, to rewrite the narrative of what women could achieve in this industry. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One night, wrapped in silence, she stood in the dim light of the garage. Tools scattered around her, memories of her father flooding her mind. Each wrench echoed laughter, encouragement, the dreams he painted of what she could become. It was there, amidst the grease and faint echo of past conversations, that her resolve solidified. She realized this wasn't about proving everyone wrong, it was about honoring the legacy of hard work and passion. As the competition day unfolded, Jasmine positioned herself in front of her creation, a sleek automotive innovation pulsing with potential. Her heart raced, tension hanging heavily in the air. Across the crowd, she glimpsed faces of family, some shining with pride, others shadowed with skepticism. Fear fluttered in her chest, but as the sound of roaring engines filled the atmosphere, something shifted. The familiar face of an old rival emerged, now a mentor, bringing a spark of hope. But just before she stepped onto the stage, doubt crept back in. Would her hard work be enough to break down walls built by prejudice? Jasmine took a breath, summoning every ounce of strength. Would she emerge victorious, or would the weight of expectation crush her spirit before she even began? As she prepared for her moment, the world around her faded, leaving one burning question in the air: could she truly make her mark in a field that seemed determined to keep her in the shadows? The spotlight flickered, bathing Jasmine in an intense glow, while the crowd melted away into shadow. Her palms were sweaty, heart pounding as if it desired to escape the constraints of her chest. A deep breath steadied her as she glanced down at the sleek engine prototype she had poured her soul into. This was not just an invention, it was a declaration, a pledge that she would not be silenced. Next up, Jasmine Williams. The announcer's voice cut through the air, a mixture of anticipation and disbelief laced in the tone. Jasmine's stomach twisted. Fear wrestled with excitement, sending her adrenaline spiraling. She stepped forward, locking eyes with her mother in the front row. A silent conversation passed between them, filled with pride, concern, and a promise to believe in one another. As Jasmine reached the center of the stage, whispers echoed from the crowd. Murmurs about her capability threaded with doubt, reminding her of every obstacle she had faced and every sneer she had endured. But today wasn't for them, it was for her. Her hands gripped the microphone, making her presence felt. She cleared her throat, feeling the weight of the moment and drawing strength from the faces in the crowd. This isn't just about breaking barriers, she began, her voice gaining strength. It's about innovation, passion, and changing how we see women in this industry. She glanced to the back where the children from her neighborhood sat wide-eyed, their trust fueling her fire. This is for every girl who has ever been told they couldn't do it. The judges leaned forward, intrigued. Jasmine launched into the features of her creation, a custom engine designed to be eco-friendly yet powerful. Numbers danced in her mind as she presented. Energy efficiency metrics, horsepower comparisons, and community impact flowed from her like a river, intertwined with her vision of a future where more women like her could thrive. Her breath caught as she drew closer to the end. When we challenge the norm, she said, gaze flitting around the room, we create ripples. Those ripples can become waves of change. The silent nods from the audience were like embers igniting her spirit. The weight of her father's legacy turned into wings, raising her up as she finished her pitch amid applause. But as she stepped back, a voice rang out from the crowd. Is this a joke? A woman thinking she can innovate in the automotive world? Jasmine's heart plummeted for a second, the laugh echoing painfully. In that heartbeat, she almost surrendered to the familiar darkness of doubt. But then she caught sight of those kids again, their eyes reflecting hope. The fire reignited with fierce intensity. No, she yelled, matching the challenger's gaze. This is real, and I am real. I'll prove it. The crowd buzzed with a mix of support and skepticism. Jasmine's resolve burned brighter. She had stepped into this challenge to rewrite the story, not just for herself, but for every woman out there who felt unseen. As the announcer called for the next competitor, Jasmine could feel the weight of anticipation thickening the air. Would she truly get the chance to prove them wrong, or would this be just the beginning of another fight? The stage was set, and her heart raced at the thought of what lay ahead. Could she turn those whispers of doubt into a chorus of belief? As she made her way backstage, doubt still loomed but determination surged. Jasmine knew she had more to show. Would she find the strength within to keep going, even when the stakes seemed insurmountable? Backstage, Jasmine leaned against the cool wall, trying to regulate her breathing. The applause still echoed in her ears, but the laughter from that voice cut deeper than she cared to admit. Why did people feel the need to tear down those who dared to dream? Behind her tough exterior, joy and anger competed for dominance. Jasmine. Her mother's voice broke through her thoughts. Janelle rushed to her side, her eyes shimmering with pride. You were amazing out there. Jasmine managed a weak smile, but the weight of doubt lingered. Did you hear them? She replied, her voice barely above a whisper. What if they're right? Janelle's expression hardened. You know they're not. You've worked too hard to let one voice shake you. Remember why you're doing this. Jasmine nodded, recalling the faces of the children who believed in her. That flicker of hope came roaring back, igniting a desire to prove herself. Next up is the second round, the announcer's voice boomed through the speakers, ricocheting around the backstage area. Despite the growing tension, Jasmine could feel determination surge in her chest. She wasn't finished. She still had more to say, more to show. The next round was where innovation met impact, where her dreams could finally find a stage worthy enough for their message. The second competitor stepped on stage, but Jasmine's mind was racing. She thought of the talk she had prepared for the judges, a talk that went beyond specs and numbers, one that spoke to the heart of the issue, the brute reality of the automotive industry. Standing in the wings, she took a few moments to gather her thoughts. Closing her eyes, she visualized her father in his workshop, hands covered in grease, the smell of motor oil and metal filling the air. He had been proud of her passion, her relentless spirit. She had to channel that energy, that legacy of resilience. As the competitor finished, applause erupted again. The announcer's voice called for the competitors to return. Jasmine felt a knot in her stomach, but she pushed through it. She was not done yet, she couldn't let her story end in doubt. One step at a time, she walked back to the stage. The crowd was buzzing, wondering how this fierce woman would handle the accusations thrown her way. She took a deep breath. Some people are skeptical about innovation from women in tech, she began, her voice clear and strong, but it's precisely this skepticism that fuels us. A ripple of murmurs spread through the room. Innovation thrives on diversity, it learns from different perspectives. When the automotive world becomes more inclusive, we unlock potential that benefits everyone. A supportive cheer rose from her corner of the audience. Jasmine could see her mother beaming with encouragement, the kids from her neighborhood bouncing slightly in their seats. Hope. I believe that together we can create a narrative where strength doesn't depend on gender, where creativity is not confined to traditional norms. And I'm here to prove it. She felt the words flow from her heart, each one igniting passion within her. As she spoke, she noticed judges leaning forward, intrigued. The same energy that had fueled her at the beginning ignited her now, lighting a fire within that could not be extinguished. She could visualize the possibilities ahead, not just for her, but for countless others. Suddenly, the very voice that had taunted her shouted once more. But can you actually deliver? Will you ever make it to the top? The crowd fell silent, and Jasmine's heart skipped. But instead of fear, a rush of conviction surged through her. I am here to tell you that I will succeed, and the journey begins today. As she felt the weight of the moment culminate in the room, anticipation gripped her like a vice. Would she really be able to back up those bold words? With the stakes higher than ever, Jasmine understood one thing, this was only the beginning. But what if the very thing she had prepared for so long became an even bigger challenge than she anticipated? Would she rise to meet it, or crumble under the weight of expectations? As Jasmine stood on that stage, electric with determination, she could feel the eyes of the audience boring into her soul. She wasn't just speaking words, she was sharing a piece of herself, her story woven with the threads of her father's legacy and the countless dreams of the little girls who looked up to her. The applause from her earlier performance still danced in her ears, mingling with the weight of that taunting voice. What if she couldn't deliver? What if the weight of expectations crushed her underfoot? No, she thought fiercely, shaking her head slightly as she took one last, calming breath. She looked out into the sea of faces, each filled with their own hopes and doubts, mirroring her struggle. I'm not just here to defend my dreams, I'm here to build a bridge for those who come after me. The words spilled from her lips, fueled by a growing urgency. Too often we hear the doubt louder than the praise, but today, I want to shout that these hands can create something beautiful. The atmosphere shifted, and she could sense the crowd beginning to thaw. They were leaning in now, eager for what she had to say next. I plan to take my skills and innovate, creating vehicles that not only function but inspire hope. I'm not just fighting for my place in this industry, I'm fighting for an entire generation that can see themselves in my story. As she spoke, images of her father flooded back. His laughter, his encouragement, his fierce belief in her potential. Would he have believed she could turn a moment like this into a movement? Yes. He would. He stood in that audience, cheering her on, proud of the woman his daughter was becoming, every heartbeat pulsed with her resolve. She could feel the skepticism in the room melt away, replaced by vibration of hope. Yes, I will prove that I can deliver, she declared, raising her voice a notch, the fire burning deeper. Because for every person that doubts, there are 100 who believe. She could feel a weight lift, the doubts and fears loosening their grip on her heart. Turning her gaze to the judges, she locked eyes with one of them, an older woman with sharp features and an understanding gaze. I am challenging myself, challenging all of us to create a community in this industry that isn't just diverse but is thriving. Together, let us build the future. Jasmine felt the thrill rush through her, emboldened by the shift in atmosphere. Applause erupted, ricocheting off the walls, filling her with a warm rush of gratitude. But before she could lose herself in the moment, that voice cut in again, forcing the audience into a silent tension. Are you prepared for the pushback from an industry resistant to change? Her stomach dropped slightly, but this time, Jasmine stood tall. Change isn't easy for anyone, she replied, but it's necessary. I'm prepared for the fight because it's not about me, it's about paving pathways for the future. With every word, every conviction spoken, Jasmine walked into a brave new territory. The stakes had just risen tenfold, and she wasn't merely participating anymore, she was challenging the very fabric of a status quo. As she stepped off stage, exhilaration coursing through her veins, Janelle was waiting, joyful and teary-eyed. You were incredible. She cried, pulling her daughter into a hug. And I think you might have just changed things. But Jasmine's mind was already racing ahead. Would the momentum carry her through the next challenge? Could she really inspire change, or would the doubts find their way back into her mind, creeping in like shadows? The uncertainty loomed, but she felt stronger than ever. This was just the beginning. What did that mean for the road ahead? What hurdles awaited her, and could she overcome them all? As Jasmine stepped off the stage, the applause still roaring in her ears, she felt an unfamiliar swell of pride bubble up within her. It was as if the warmth of the crowd had wrapped her in a blanket of support, staving off the cold fingers of doubt that had clawed at her so many times before. Janelle's bright eyes sparkled with unshed tears. I can't believe what I just witnessed, Jasmine. You took that stage and turned it into your platform. I'm so proud of you. Jasmine hugged her mom tight. She needed that hug more than she realized. It grounded her, reminded her of home, of where she came from. Thanks, Mom. I wanted to do something that meant something. But the days ahead felt heavy with expectation. What if this was just a flash in the pan? What if she didn't harness all that energy into real change? The thought nagged at her, and she could feel the shadows creeping back. As the event ended, Jasmine was approached by a man in his 50s whose face was lined with wisdom and experience. He introduced himself as Marcus, a venture capitalist known for funding innovative projects in the automotive industry. You've got a voice that needs to be heard, Jasmine, he said, his tone encouraging yet direct. I'd love to talk about your vision over coffee. Excitement clashed with anxiety. Could this be the opportunity she was looking for? Sure, I can make some time. As she shared a table with Marcus later that week, she felt the weight of her dreams hanging delicately in the balance. She spoke passionately about her plans, vehicles designed to empower, inspire, and create impact. For every option on the table, she imagined a future where young girls could see what's possible, where industry wouldn't just be for a privileged few, but open to all. What's your biggest hurdle right now? Marcus leaned in, sipping his coffee slowly as he scrutinized her. Jasmine hesitated, the honest answer snagging on her tongue. Was it her fear of failure? The industry's reluctance to embrace change? Or maybe it was the shadow of her father's legacy that loomed large in her mind? I think it's she stopped, reflecting deeply. It's believing I can navigate this world as a young black woman. There's so much doubt. And it's not just about being good enough, it's about being seen. He nodded, understanding dawning in his eyes. You've got something rare in authenticity that resonates. But you're right. Pushing back against that doubt will take grit. Are you willing to take this challenge? Jasmine felt a rush of adrenaline. Yes. 100%. Good, he grinned, excitement radiating from him. If you want to make substantial change, we need to turn that passion into a solid plan. I'm willing to commit my support, but it's going to take work. The conversation ignited a fire deep inside Jasmine. She was ready to fight, but the weight of responsibility felt monumental. She wasn't just building a future for herself, she was forging paths for others, and that meant more than she had ever anticipated. Days turned into weeks, filled with late-night strategy sessions and early morning brainstorming. Each moment felt charged with possibility, yet Jasmine couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Every time she pushed, she felt the resistance, those whispers of doubt creeping in again. How many others would believe in her vision, in one of her sleepless nights, Janelle found her poring over plans at the kitchen table. "You look stressed, honey. What's on your mind?" "Mom, what if I fail? What if all this effort leads to nothing?" The honesty charged the air, and Jasmine felt herself unraveling. "Listen, Jasmine," Janelle said softly, placing a comforting hand over hers. "What if you don't? What if this is just the beginning of something incredible? You have a gift, and you're meant to make waves in this industry." Jasmine looked into her mother's eyes, those familiar pools of strength, and felt renewed warmth flooding back. She had a choice to make: keep fighting against the doubt or allow it to define her. As she began to map out her funding proposal, a determination settled within her. "I'm ready," she thought, not just ready for the challenge, but ready to step into the legacy her father left behind. What if this didn't just change her future, but transformed the industry forever? Ahead lay an uphill battle, but Jasmine was no stranger to struggles. She shifted in her seat, imagining the roar of engines and the hope of young girls in her mind. The echoes of possibility thrummed around her, a reminder that every great journey begins with a single step. Just then, her phone buzzed with a message that shattered her thoughts. "You're going to want to see this," her heart raced. What awaited her next? Jasmine stared at her phone, her mind racing. Who could this be? Another moment of hope? Or another hurdle? With a mix of excitement and anxiety, she opened the message. It was a link to a video posted by a well-known automotive influencer titled, "Hidden Talents in the Industry." Her heart thumped in her chest. As the video started, she watched a montage of talented mechanics of color, showcasing their incredible skills. But her breath caught when the screen flashed to footage of a young black woman under the hood of a car, transforming a rusty sedan into a sleek beauty. Her heart swelled with pride and a pang of jealousy. What if I could be like her? Jasmine thought. The influencer spoke to the camera, his voice warm and engaging. These individuals are breaking barriers and reshaping the automotive landscape. But there's still so much more to uncover. Are you ready to take on the 100K challenge? He grinned. Prove your skills, your innovation, and your vision. Let us change the game. The words hung in the air, electrifying. Jasmine felt the fire igniting inside her again. This wasn't just some contest, it was a chance to showcase her vision on a grand scale. She could take a stand, share her story, and show the world what she was capable of. Excitement flooded through her body as she pulled out a notepad and began jotting down ideas. What would her challenge entry look like? A prototype? A concept series? She pictured herself in the thick of it, showcasing both her engineering prowess and her story as a black woman in a predominantly white industry. Each stroke of her pen felt like a hammer driving a nail into the foundation of her dreams. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, interrupting her thoughts. Janelle peeked over her shoulder as Jasmine eagerly opened it. "Did you see this?" Jasmine exclaimed. "The 100K challenge. This could be my moment." Her mother's expression shifted, a mix of excitement and concern. "Jasmine, this sounds amazing, but is this what you want? Can you handle the pressure?" "Mom, this is everything." Jasmine insisted, her voice rising with passion. "It's not just about the money. This could open doors for others like me. I want to show everyone it can be done." Janelle studied her for a moment, then nodded slowly. "If that's what you want, I'm here to help you through it. Just remember, you're more than just a competitor. You're a pioneer." Those words resonated with Jasmine. She wasn't just entering a challenge, she was stepping into a role that could reshape perspectives in her industry. She imagined herself sharing her journey, inspiring other young girls, showing them that they could achieve their dreams, no matter how big. The next morning, Jasmine threw herself into preparation. Sketches littered her workspace, each more ambitious than the last. She began reaching out to mentors, gathering feedback, refining her designs. The thrill of possibility buzzed in her veins, but so did the weight of self-doubt. What if the competition was fierce? What if her designs fell flat? Days turned into a blur of coffee-fueled late nights and conference calls, as local businesses began to rally around her vision. Each conversation ignited her hope, yet the thought of failure chipped at her resolve. Pushing back against the creeping doubt felt like an uphill battle. As she stood in front of a mirror one evening, preparing for another pitch to potential investors, Jasmine whispered to her reflection, "You are strong. You are capable. You are meant for this." But deep within, a quiet voice asked, "What if they see you differently?" At that moment, her phone buzzed again, echoing in the silence. She glanced at it, a notification from Marcus. "Meet me in the morning, there's something we need to discuss. It's important." The weight of those words settled heavily on her shoulders. What could be so urgent? Would it spark the next step in her journey, or would it steer her into deeper waters? Jasmine took a deep breath and steadied herself. The stakes were rising, the challenges more uncertain, but her heart pounded with a rhythm of fierce resolve. Tomorrow would be a pivotal moment, one that could either launch her forward or challenge her in ways she hadn't anticipated. What secrets awaited her? And would they lead her closer to her dream or push her further into the depths of doubt? The morning sun painted the sky with a palette of oranges and pinks as Jasmine paced back and forth in her living room, her heart racing. Each tick of the clock felt like an eternity, amplifying the anticipation coiling in her gut. She glared at the door, waiting for Marcus to arrive. She couldn't shake the feeling that whatever news he brought could be the turning point she desperately needed. Finally, the door creaked open, and Marcus stepped inside, his expression serious. "Jazz," he said, and her heart sank. His tone felt heavy before he even spoke. "We need to talk." They sat on the edge of her small couch, a tangle of emotions swirling in the air. "What is going on?" Jasmine asked, her voice trembling slightly despite her efforts to mask her anxiety. Was this about the challenge? Had something gone wrong? He took a deep breath, his eyes locked on hers. "I've been hearing some things about the challenge." He paused, gauging her reaction. "There's going to be some stiff competition. Some really serious contenders are entering. I just wanted you to know before you invest your all into this." Her stomach churned, and in that moment, it felt as if Marcus had ripped the rug from under her. Stiff competition. Did that mean she wasn't ready? "Are you saying I shouldn't do it?" Jasmine pressed, an edge creeping into her voice. "Because I have to. This is my moment." "No, not at all," he quickly emphasized, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "You have an undeniable talent, Jazz. But it might be tougher than you expect. I just want you to be prepared for the ups and downs." "Prepared," she echoed, her heart racing again, but this time with a different kind of intensity. "What does that even mean?" Marcus shifted. "It means keep your head up, keep pushing. I don't want you to lose faith if things don't go as planned." Faith. The weight of that single word settled heavily on Jasmine's chest. Did she even have enough faith left? What if her dreams unraveled beneath the weight of expectations? She thought back to the video, to the young woman who had transformed a rusty heap into something bold and beautiful. That was her goal, to be that example, to show what was possible. But the voice of doubt was rising again. What if she wasn't enough? What if the competition crushed her spirit before she even had a chance to shine? "Jasmine," Marcus's voice broke into her thoughts, urgent and steady. "Some days will be hard. But listen. Use this fire inside you, harness that passion. Show everyone what you can do. Don't let fear hold you down." His words ignited something in her. She would not back down. She would rise. "I'm going to prepare harder than I ever have. I'll take everything you said and turn it into fuel," Jasmine said, each word gaining momentum. She sat up straighter, her earlier resolve returning with renewed vigor. Marcus looked relieved. "That's more like it. And remember, I'm right here, ready to support you." As he left, Jasmine felt the uncertainty of the competition flaring like an ember in her mind but couldn't shake the rising determination that began to blaze brighter. She returned to her workspace, her sketches all over the place. Each line was a roadmap to her dreams, inviting her to imagine, innovate, and inspire. It was now or never. But as she sat down to sketch, a different thought crossed her mind. Was she really ready to take such a big leap? Moments later, her phone buzzed again. A message from Janelle, thinking of you. Remember, no matter what, I believe in you. Tears crept into Jasmine's eyes. Her family, her mentors, they were counting on her, just as much as she was counting on herself. In that moment, she realized that the urgency of the challenge didn't just lie in winning. It lay in the journey ahead, the story unfolding around her, and the legacy waiting to be etched into the world. What if she pushed through every doubt and emerged stronger? What would that journey feel like? The excitement bubbled within her, ready for release. But a nagging feeling lingered. What surprises awaited her along the way? Would they lead her closer to her aspirations or derail her hopes yet again? Jasmine leaned over her sketches, her fingers tracing the lines of her designs, feeling the thrill bubble within her. Each stroke felt like a promise to herself, a promise that she would not back down, no matter the obstacles ahead. The thoughts of the competition loomed, but she forced herself to set them aside, concentrating instead on her passion. With each sketch, vibrant ideas sprang to life. She imagined what it would be like to see her designs come to fruition, to stand in front of the crowd and reveal her hard work. There would be doubt, surely. But more importantly, there would be courage, heart, and a spark of creativity that only she could bring. Just then, the doorbell rang again. It startled her from her thoughts. Who could it be? Janelle? Or perhaps, one of her neighbors wanting to borrow tools again? She opened the door and her breath caught in her throat. Standing on her doorstep was Ethan, someone she hadn't expected. Their shared history hung thick in the air between them, a mix of nostalgia and unresolved tensions. "Hey," he said, scratching the back of his head, a sheepish smile creeping onto his face. "Can I come in?" Sure," Jasmine responded, her heart racing for an entirely different reason now. She stepped aside, allowing him to enter, her mind racing as she tried to pick up from where they had left off before everything changed. They settled on the couch, Jasmine's sketches in full view. A silent moment passed before Ethan broke the tension. "I heard about the challenge. That's amazing, Jazz." There was a sincerity in his voice that she wasn't sure how to respond to. "Thanks, Ethan. I'm trying to prepare. It's complicated." She hesitated, the walls of doubt creeping back in. "Marcus told me the competition is tough. I'm not sure if I can keep up." Ethan leaned forward, his eyes piercing through her moment of uncertainty. "You have to believe in yourself. I know what you can do. When you put your mind to it, you're unstoppable." A bittersweet smile crossed her face. He didn't know how much she needed to hear that right now. "I appreciate that. But it's different this time. There's so much on the line." He sighed, contemplating her words. "I get it. But this is your chance to show everyone what you're made of. What are a few competitors compared to your dream?" Jasmine shifted uncomfortably, feeling the weight of his gaze on her. "Sometimes I wonder if my dream is just too big. If I'm capable enough." Ethan shook his head, his resolve unyielding. "You're not just a mechanic, Jazz. You're an artist. You transform metal and machines. You have a vision. Don't let fear drown out your passion." She felt a warm flush at his words. A small part of her wanted to believe that her talents could illuminate even the darkest doubts. But the insecurities clawed back. "What if I fail?" His voice softened, filled with kindness. "What if you don't? What if you surprise everyone, including yourself?" For a moment, Jasmine could almost see it, the spotlight shining on her, the crowd holding their breath as her creation took center stage. The thought was intoxicating. Yet, a deep hesitance still lurked inside. But what if, she trailed off, the possibilities swirling chaotic inside her mind. Jazz, he interjected gently, you're the one in control of your story. You can write it however you wish. What if you not only succeed but redefine what it means to follow your passion? The weight of what he said settled into her heart. Suddenly, a fire ignited within her. She realized then, she had the power to write her own ending, to forge her own path. But as she prepared to answer, an unexpected text notification interrupted the moment. It was another message from Janelle, daring her to take the leap alongside words of encouragement. Jasmine's heart raced. Was she really ready for this challenge? Should she follow through, or could this moment slip through her fingers? The choice seemed to hang in the air between them, and a thought hit her hard. What if she stepped into the unknown and flourished? Ethan, what if I embrace this challenge? As she said the words, she felt the weight lift off her shoulders. Perhaps this was the start of something transformative. But would she find the courage she needed just in time? A mix of excitement and fear coursed through her veins. She was on the brink of something big, but the real question remained: was she truly ready to jump? Can ambition thrive amidst uncertainty? Jasmine knew answers awaited her, but they trembled just out of reach. What would happen when she finally took that leap? The air was thick with unspoken words as Jasmine sat across from Ethan, her heart pounding with the weight of her burgeoning determination. His presence filled the space with an energy that was almost electric. For the first time in what felt like months, she could see the glimmer of possibility in her own future. I think I need to do this, she finally admitted, her voice steady and stronger than she expected. The doubt she had been wrestling with seemed to shrink under the power of her conviction. Ethan grinned, his smile warm and infectious. That's the spirit. Just remember, it won't be easy, but nothing worth having ever is. With every passing second, Jasmine felt her fear begin to fade, replaced by an urgency to start her designs. I'll dive in head first. I'll put everything I have into this. She felt the words take root, a commitment that pulsed through her veins like adrenaline. Good. Let's get to work then. Show me what you've got, he said, leaning forward with genuine interest. There was no hint of doubt in his eyes, only encouragement. Jasmine gestured toward her sketches, her heart racing again as she explained her ideas. This piece is inspired by the beauty of machinery meeting art. It's a fusion, each line is a dance, a rhythm of metal and movement. The words poured out as she spoke with passion. Ethan nodded, engrossed. You're really onto something here, Jazz. I can see it, I can almost picture it. Have you thought about the colors you want to use? Yeah. I want bold colors, she replied, her eyes lighting up. Something that stands out. Red for power, blue for trust, and maybe even a hint of gold to symbolize ambition. Gold, huh? He chuckled. That's not just a hint, that's a statement. That LL scream unstoppable. He clapped his hands together, and Jasmine felt a swell of excitement. Revisiting her sketches, Jasmine felt a surge of creativity, fueled by Ethan's support. As she sketched, the ideas flowed effortlessly, unraveling like a tightly wound spring. But amidst this rush, a nagging fear whispered in the back of her mind: what if showcasing her work drew criticism? What if she didn't measure up? Ethan seemed to sense her shift in mood. What's on your mind? He asked softly. Just the thought of people judging me if I fail. What if they don't get it? She looked away, afraid to meet his gaze. Jazz, he said gently, this challenge is about you, not them. When you create something from your heart, that's the true victory. His words settled like a gentle balm over her insecurities. Maybe he was right. Maybe the fear of judgment was a greater enemy than the challenge itself. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, another message from Janelle filled with hints of optimism, pushing her to unleash her fire. And just like that, Jasmine realized the strength she was gaining from the people in her life: Ethan, Janelle, even Marcus. This journey wasn't going to be a solitary struggle. What if I really do this? She said, almost to herself. What if I not only enter the competition but redefine my path altogether? Ethan's smile broadened as he stood up, extending his hand. Then let us do it, Jazz. Let us redefine it together. As she took his hand, a wave of resolve washed over her. Yes, she was ready. Ready to take that leap, ready to allow herself to embrace her talent fully, and ready to show the world what she was capable of. In that moment, Jasmine envisioned her future flush with vivid color and powerful designs. The anxiety within her began to dissipate. Maybe this leap wouldn't only be about her creations but about discovering who she truly was. But just then, her phone pinged again, and the sudden reminder of the looming deadline sent a chill down her spine. What would she show the judges? Were her designs really enough? Questions clawed at the edges of her confidence. Ethan, what if this isn't enough? She felt the weight returning as uncertainty crept back in. The grin on his face softened. It will be enough, Jazz. You will be more than enough. Trust in the journey. As his words pierced through her doubt, Jasmine locked eyes with him. Courage surged within her yet again. This time, she would not allow fear to win. But the pressure of the ticking clock loomed heavy, as if time itself understood the stakes. With a final glance at her sketches, she took a deep breath. Tomorrow marked the beginning of the end of her self-doubt, and she wasn't turning back. But as the realization hit, what if she stumbled? What if the world wasn't ready for her? Jasmine could feel the heart of her dream calling to her. The real question now was, could she transform that calling into reality? Jasmine stood backstage, the vibrant sounds of the crowd growing louder, pulsating like a heartbeat. The moment had arrived. This was it. No more doubts. No more hesitations. With every breath, she could feel the weight of expectation, not as a burden, but as a driving force pushing her forward. She was ready to show them all. As Jasmine stepped into the cool light of the stage, the buzz of anticipation wrapped around her like a warm hug. She narrowed her focus on the judges' faces, then on the crowd. Spanning from her mother in the front row to the anxious kids from her neighborhood seated near the back, they were her inspiration. Each one reflected a flicker of hope and determination. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer called, please welcome back Jasmine Williams. Applause erupted, washing over her like a refreshing rain. Jasmine grinned, her spirit soaring. This was the moment her father dreamed she would reach, and she would honor his legacy. Gathering her courage, she stepped toward the audience, her heart racing with each heartbeat echoing like a drum. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm here not only to showcase my innovation but to share my story as a black woman in this industry. This isn't just my battle, it's a battle for everyone who has ever been told they can't. With every word, she felt the old doubts begin to melt away. The laughter of her community echoed in her mind, reminding her of who she was fighting for. She presented her prototype, a custom engine and car design that was beautiful, sustainable, and thorough, worthy of every young girl who dreamed of shining in a male-dominated field. Her voice grew stronger as she continued, I designed this with an eye toward the future, one where innovation knows no gender and talent isn't dictated by societal norms. This is a vehicle that symbolizes the resilience within us all. She paused, letting the weight of her message sink in. Jasmine addressed the skeptics, turning the murmurs of doubt into whispers of interest. Change is hard, but it's necessary. I'm here as living proof that anyone can break through barriers. This isn't merely about winning 100K, it's about inspiring others to dream big and pursue their passions relentlessly. The crowd erupted in applause, a collective affirmation of her words. She could see her mother's eyes shining with pride, and the kids beaming with excitement, their faces lighting up at her message. And the impact doesn't end with me, Jasmine continued, feeling her heart race. I want to create a space for more women like me, to empower them to enter this field that thrives on creativity and diversity. Jobs that once seemed impossible now belong to us. As she finished, the room buzzed with an energy that sent shivers down her spine. She took a moment to breathe, knowing she had just shared something profound. But then, as she prepared to leave the stage, the tension remained thick when the familiar voice of her old rival cut through the hopeful atmosphere, challenging her once again. Can you sustain this level of innovation? The industry isn't ready for you, he taunted, the worried murmurs returning. Jasmine's heart skipped, but she quickly turned. What if I tell you the industry better be ready? Because change is coming. And it starts with me and people like you. Open your mind, and you'll see the opportunities beyond your comfort zone. Cheers rang through the audience as Jasmine felt the energy shift, her determination igniting a spark in others. In that moment, she fully realized the power of her voice, the collective voices of those blazing trails behind her. As the judges leaned in, intrigued and impressed, Jasmine lit up from within. Yes, she could do this. She was already doing it. After the applause calmed, the judges announced the finalists. When Jasmine's name was called, a roar of approval erupted. Tears filled her eyes, as she beamed brightly, looking out at the faces who believed in her. Later that evening, under a soft glow of twinkling stars, the community gathered at her father's auto shop to celebrate. Jasmine, surrounded by those who believed in her, felt the weight of doubt finally lift off her shoulders. It wasn't the money that mattered, it was the change she had ignited in her community. Jazz, you truly did it. Her mom enveloped her in arms bursting with pride. I didn't just do it, Jasmine replied, with a full heart. We did it. This is just the beginning. Together, we'll create a future where everyone can shine. And in that moment, surrounded by love and encouragement, Jasmine felt that she was not walking alone anymore. She had turned her fears into fuel and doubt into determination. This was her story, and she was ready for all that was to come. Stories of transformation, inspiring those who felt unseen. The future looked brighter than ever. You need to subscribe now to catch every powerful story we'll share next. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to help spread the message. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let's break barriers.